Check 1 2, check 1 2. Miami on the Rocks, Casey Chopz. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at MIA on the Rocks. Follow us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. It's brought to you by Smiles Official. Make sure you stream his new single featuring Tory Lanez. Spotify, Apple Music. Follow him on Instagram at Smiles Official. Today's guest. I don't have a lot of DJs in here. I've had one other DJ in here out of 67 episodes, and I was like, I got to get DJ Konflikt in here. How are you, sir?
Oh, hi.
You good?
I'm well, thank you. Who's the other DJ?
Don Hot.
Okay.
So good. I look at DJing, bro, as like, were you a wrestling guy growing up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so I look at DJing as like there's the WCW and the WWF, like two federations.
Okay.
Right. And I look at you as the number one slot, the champion in one federation. And I look at Don Hot, say that's WWF, and I look at Don Hot like the champion in the WCW Federation.
Okay.
And, you know, I would say the federation you're on, you know, because I put DJs in two categories, right? Based on your style. And I would say, you know, you have, I would say the godfather of this, you know, federation is DJ AM. And then you follow that class, you know, I would put you right under DJ AM. And then you have all your kids as well who like, you know, who have kind of your style. Then I go to this side, the WCW, and I would probably put like maybe Kid Capri in this federation as the godfather, maybe with like DJ Camilo. And then, you know, I think that I would fall on that side of in that federation. And sometimes, you know, more people are watching the WWF. Sometimes the cycle goes when more people are watching the WCW. And, you know, I've always respected what you've done ever since, you know, I came up in the DJ game, and you're a little bit older than me. And I've always just really held you in a high regard, bro. So, you know, if I'm going to have a DJ here, I'm glad it's you. You know,
I'm glad you're only allowing world champions onto your podcast. It's a smart move on your part.
Yeah, I'd rather have bartenders, you know.
No, because if I'm the WWF world champion and then Don Hunt's the WCW world champion, it's a high standard to set. Like,
right.
You know, only world champions.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. That's the tagline. Casey Chopz, only world champions.
Exactly, man. And you know, for the DJs there that are listening, a lot of DJs will probably be listening to this, and we're gonna get a little geeky with the DJ talk and touch some, you know, some other subjects. And you know, what your federation in the style that you possess, and you know, DJ AM and guys like you, man, you guys are turntablists to the max. You know,
okay.
Are you rolling or not yet?
No, I don't know if we're turntablists to the max. Turntablists to the max would be more involved in the extreme technical abilities. So you're talking about like not just very, very, very intricate scratching, but you're also talking about beat juggling. Okay, beat juggling serves no purpose in a club setting, in my opinion. I've seen it done a few times. It's never worked. I never bothered to learn it when I was like going off and learning a lot of these technical things. Never bothered to learn beat juggling because I looked at it and I was like, this is cool. You're making a different beat with a beat that already exists, but it does nothing for my dance floor.
I would even put scratching in that category then, no?
Yes, scratching does not induce dancing, but it adds that sprinkle of flavor.
Got you.
So it's like where I would add a scratch, maybe the person in the other federation would be like, if you love, you know, hip hop, let me see one hand up while I'm playing house music because I'm about to play it. But if I don't see enough hands up, I'm not playing hip hop. If you love hip hop, let me see your hand up. So that's their little sprinkle. And then over here, the little sprinkles.
Exactly.
And then it's like, oh, and somebody might look up and go, damn, that was dope.
Yeah, like catch your attention.
Yes, exactly.
Right away.
So it's like different attention grabbers that serve the same purpose. So I wouldn't say extreme turntablist. I would just say a turntablist that fits inside of the club mold.
Okay.
Like there's a mold if you want to play in a club. Right. And I fit, you know, so does, you know, Don Hot, so do you. We all fit in the same mold inside a club. But like we might be in different sectors, and like my sector's over here, your sector's over here. Sometimes we might end up, you know, crisscrossing. Right, doing this. Right. You know, we do this thing, but we stay inside that box. So it's definitely not extreme. And the turntablists, what they do is a lot harder than what we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know, like you guys do things like wordplay and things of that. You get real creative, and I'm sure you get that from DJ AM is probably one of your influences, like main influences.
Yeah,
right?
so for sure, a later influence in life, but the first influence was DJ Craze. I had VHS tapes and I'd watch the DMC, and you watch the DMC. There's lots of competitors, but you always watch the winner. And Craze won 3 years in a row. I think it was like 97, 98, 99, or 98, 99, 2000, to the point where the DMC, was like, hey man, just stop competing because you're going to win every year. We got to give other people a chance to win. So I watched those VHS tapes and I would just look, and you'd see him doing things. My brain didn't understand what he was doing, but I was like, that looks really great. And he's a world champion, and I want to be a world champion. So like, I guess I made it because now I'm the WWF world champion. But.
So like, and for DJs that are just starting out, I think when you say, okay, I want to be a DJ, it's like, being in the medical field, you got to choose what kind of DJ you want to be. And, I think we all look at the DJ that we look up to and it's like, okay, I want to be like him, and now there's a lot of DJs like, you could be the Twitch guy. You could be the Instagram Live guy. You could be the club guy. You could be the private party guy. There's all different types of DJs you can be. So is it safe to say that, when you decided I want to be a DJ, it was Craze was the guy? Like, I need to follow his, like, I want to be like him. Is that...
Possibly, but not entirely.
Okay.
So I looked at that as something that I wanted to imitate and mimic, but not potentially something that I wanted to pursue the entire way. And I'm not sure why, but what I enjoyed was making people enjoy what I was doing, more so than the satisfaction that you get when you win a competition. So I looked at what he was doing as a good competitive DJ, but I wanted to play for my friends after school, and when they said, "Wow, that was good," I felt fulfilled. I was like, "Whoa, oh, you like that? Wow!"
It was like, I want to make money in that equation, is what?
Not yet.
Okay,
they didn't get there yet, but it was just like, let's see what else we can do. You like that mix? You like this from this record to that record? It's like, yeah, that sounded good. It's like, all right, well, let me come up with another one. Maybe I can figure out another 2 songs that work well. Maybe I can figure out a string of 4 or a string of 6. So playing for my friends after middle school, they'd come over to my house. They'd hop on my computer and go on AIM and talk to girls, and I would play music in the background. And I'd be like, "How was that?" They'd be like, "That was ass." And I'd be like, "Shit, I'm guessing I can curse on your podcast." Yeah. And then I'd say, "Well, how was that?" It's like, "That was better. Do that again." So I would repeat the mix. And I'm like, "Okay, it's getting boring now. Do something else." So I was like performing, in middle school. So I enjoyed that a lot. And then I thought to myself, okay, how do I make money off this? Being 14, 15, I knew that you could do house parties. People have birthdays, they have DJs in their backyards. So I thought, all right, I guess I'm going to be a mobile DJ. That's what I'm going to do for now. And my intention was never to make a career out of it yet. So I partnered up with a buddy of mine that I went to high school with, and I would sit in high school, like watching the teacher explain things to me and just play on my desk just like this. Like I was mimicking the patterns of the vinyl and the fader. And I would just sit there and just hear it in my head. All day. Get home, be like, "Hey, check this out. I was practicing this today." I'm practicing. "Oh, nothing, man. Just listen. Does this sound good?" Right? So eventually partnered with a buddy, had some house parties. People, when they had a birthday, they needed equipment, they needed speakers. We would show up and, $100, we'll be there. It's like, we're 15, 16. It's like $100, a big deal. My mom would cram all the equipment in her car, drop me off, either wait for me or like pick me up. And then progression through high school, once you get to be 17, 18 years old, your friends start doing parties and house parties. So there was a time in Miami, I don't know if it's still a thing because I'm old now, so older at least. So there was a time where in high school, people would pass out flyers like house party this weekend. This is where we're going. This is the house. Somebody would have a big house and they would volunteer it to have a house party. They would have a section where there might be liquor, and they definitely charged admission at the door. So they needed DJs for that. And back then, the only people that were DJs were the ones that had vinyl, because CD players were not really a big thing. Like dual CD players were a thing, but you couldn't really mix that well. The really expensive ones you could do stuff with, but turntables and vinyl were just a lot more accessible. So I had records. I had some records that I'd been building the collection up through middle school and high school. And whenever somebody needed a DJ at a house party, I'd be like, "Hey, I'm available. I'm ready to go." And those same promoters that would do 500 people at a house party eventually worked their way to South Beach. This is in the mid-aughts, which is in 2005, 2006. And so they worked their way to clubs on South Beach, and the nightclub promoter or the owners would look at them and go, hey, man, you just got 500 people at a house party. Can you bring me 35 kids that are over 21? Over 20.
Yeah.
And, you know, these promoters would be like, yeah, for sure. So then what would happen is they'd be like, we have a DJ too. Slip right in, right? So now I'm 18 years old and I'm playing on South Beach clubs with these small clubs that would allow.
Sorry to cut you off, but it seems like a lot of DJs, you know, in your class, like you have, you know, the people I look up to, like Mauricio. It seems like you guys did start very young. Like 18.
It was an advantage. I started. I mean, I got my first turntable on.
Well, I mean, in South Beach. I apologize.
Oh, yeah,
in the clubs, like
super lucky.
Being 18, DJing on South Beach. Lucky. You know, it seems like that was a lot. You know, for you and you know, I think even Radimus. I think a lot of guys that are, you know, like
lucky on my end. Yeah. Just so I'll explain the fortune part of it as well. So this club that I first got into, at the end of the night, they'd be like, "Yo, good job. Here's $40," and I was like, "Wow." That's fantastic. I didn't have to bring my speakers or, you know, a mixer or my coffin that carried all my stuff. I just showed up and played on your sound system and I get $40.
You bringing crates?
Yeah, just crates. Yeah. You know, and I was bringing my 3 buddies, which was the way that we would bring guys, you know, your friends to the club back in the day was like, oh, it's me and my 4 guy friends, and be like, okay, cool. Yeah. There was never a big deal. Now, if you go, it's me and my 4 guy friends, they're like, yeah, you can't do that.
Every DJ had like 3 friends that rolled with them everywhere.
Because you had to carry these 100-pound crates. So I started working at that club regularly because the owner was like, hey, man, you did a good job. Come play here. And I would just play there, I don't know, 2 nights per week, Fridays and Saturdays or Thursdays. Like I worked around my senior year in high school. And then it just happened to be that club owner became the marketing manager for a big conglomerate that no longer exists, I think, or, you know, whatever. But they had some of the biggest clubs on South Beach. Became marketing manager, marketing guy, promoter for them. And he was like, hey, the back room needs a DJ. It's $250 for the whole night, 11 to 6. Do you want to do it?
See, okay, this is interesting that you say this because I actually was corrected and I assumed wrong, but I was shitting on 2-hour sets. I thought these new long sets, and I was wrong, but I thought these new long sets were something new that the club owners were doing. And I came in the game doing doing 2-hour sets at the club. So when it went to 3, I'm like, okay. Then it went to 4, I'm like, you guys are taking advantage. Then it went to 5, and I'm like, yo, no, this is like borderline like abuse. You know what I mean? But then I talked to Zog, and Zog was like, no, we were doing 10 to 7 a.m. on South Beach. Like, I'm like, oh shit, I had no idea.
Yeah. So they brought me in from 11 to 5. And I see, here's the thing, this is why I don't have like undercutting to me is like not a great thing. You know, if DJs go in and they're like, oh, I'll do it for less. But sometimes if you're unaware of what you could probably make, it's difficult because sometimes then you ask the question to certain people, you're like,
but then the market moves up and down, so it's tough to
that's true. The market does move up and down, but it's also kind of taboo to talk to people and say, hey man, like if I ask you how much are you getting paid at this spot, some people might not be willing to divulge that information. You know, I'm of the school that it's like, look, if you're gonna attack the spot, I want to give you some data. If you have an in, I'm going to give you data. If it works for you and you get in and they like you and you stay, then you deserve it. If it's one of my spots and you take it from me, then you deserve it. I'm falling behind somewhere. Or the promoter has different parameters in mind that are requirements and I don't fit in there, so I just don't fit. So I either adapt and like do what they want or move on.
Right.
So if you ask me, like if I'm working somewhere and you're like, hey, I want to get into that spot, what do they pay you? I'd be like, hey man, that's what I get. I'll tell you, because I would rather help a DJ than have the DJ go in at 25% under
100%
and then take that job and then I'll be like, yo, you could have asked for this much. Because that's what they were paying me. So anyway, being 19, 19, I think 18 or 19, whatever. And they offered me this back room at this major nightclub. You know what club I'm talking about, right? Mansion?
Okay.
Anyway, I was like, yeah. See, I didn't know at the time, right? Like, I didn't know if I was undercutting. I didn't know who was there.
And you were how old at this time?
18, 19. Still living in my mom's house.
Back at Mansion, bro? Crazy.
The back room.
That's nuts.
I know. It was 11 to 5, though.
And that was like, we could safe to say that was the live of that time. You know what I'm saying? Like
that was the place. It was
at 18.
The place. I got lucky, man. And that's what's, of all the clubs my promoter friends could have gone to, there was a lot of them. It ended up being that one. And that's the one that the owner ended up working directly with that company. That's the guy that made me. If anyone ever asks, you know, there's people that like to take credit that are like, oh yeah, I helped him on with his career. I'm the guy that pushed him up. But if anyone ever asks me, like, how did you get to be in the space you are, 100% I'll tell them who it was.
Right.
And he's still around now. He owns the thing on the beach now.
Right.
So it's like, that's the guy I will give credit to every day, no matter what.
Wow.
So they put me in that back room, and I'm making $250. And I worked there for years.
Let me ask you a question. At that time, how much do you think the main room DJ was making?
That's the thing. This is where the business end comes in, and that's where, like, being 19, working there for maybe a year or two, working that back room. So I'm working both the small club and mansion, and in between there happens to be other clubs. So now I'm in the South Beach circuit because I'm working that little club, I'm working mansion, and then there's some in betweeners too. They're like, "Yo, can you come play Friday? Because you're at mansion, right?" Yeah.
And you think they're behind the scenes like, yo, he's only working for $250. Now
could be. I don't know. I was too young and naive at the time. It's possible. At the end of the day, I don't know if I would have been able to ask for more because a lot of those were like young kid parties anyway.
Right.
So I look at my life in that moment. I take a look at the personal and professional. Professional, for the first time ever, I was saving like money. I had money, and money was like no longer a, hey, mom, can I have $20 for gas, please? Right. So then I look at it, and I'm still going to college. And I think to myself, all right, I'm making $250 in the back room. I'm making $200 at this club. I'm making $100 on this other one. So at that point, let's say that I'm making like $500-$600 a week,
which was solid back then, right?
2005 and I mean, it wasn't the 40s, but yeah, I mean, it was, for a kid that was 19 years old living in his mom's house, for sure, that was solid. No bills, mom paid for everything.
Yeah, you could pay a $300 car payment, bro.
Anything. I could have done anything at that point. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to college. If I go for a bachelor's degree in whatever, I get out and I'm making what, 50, 60 a year, 60,000. So then I did math. If I'm making 250 in the small room, what's the guy in the main room making? 500? Let's just double it for the sake. They were making way more than that, but let's just double it for the sake of the math that I was doing in my head. Okay, I work the main room and then I work two other clubs. If I can make $1,000 a week.
Who was one of the DJs in the
Mauricio, Irie.
Okay.
They were the guys that were the top dogs. If I make $1,000 a week doing this, I make $48,000 a year. What am I going to college for?
Yeah.
I'm already.
It's really as simple as that math problem, bro.
That's
it's
literally
as simple as that.
So I had to present it to my mom because my mom was like, please go to college. So I was like, Mom, look, if I do this and I work really hard at it, I can make this much money. There's no point in me spending the next 4 years doing something I don't want to fucking do. She was like, please just have a plan B. I'm like, I love you, no.
Yeah.
And that was just,
best decision you ever made, right?
I put my, in for the last 20 years. Yeah. Now it's like, now I'm looking back at college and I'm like, I actually just took 2 courses.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because I'm in my mid 30s.
Yeah,
and I look around, and there's a lot of DJs that are in the game that are in their 40s, which is great.
Damn, we're at this. This is an interesting talk right here, bro. Because we're in this same. I think about this a lot.
I love that there's like I look at some of my peers, and they're in their 40s, and they're still at the top of the game, and I'm like, you're my canary in the coal mine, bro. Like, as long as you guys are still doing it now, every year that they get older, I'm like, okay, I could do it till 43. Okay, I could do it till 44. Okay, I could do it if I want.
Right, and without them looking crazy. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like outdated or old.
So that's another thing, though. How you age is really important in this specific game.
How you wear your age.
Exactly. Yeah. Because if you're the old guy playing for a room of 21-year-olds and you're playing the brand new Nicki Minaj record or whatever, whoever the pop star of the moment is. Is your soul going to be okay with that? And when a kid looks up at you, is he going to go, Grandpa?
Yeah.
That's problematic. So now you're dealing with 2 different potential hazards of the job. Your internal hazard, which is like, what the fuck am I doing? And the external hazard of who's the old guy.
Yeah, exactly. And for the people that don't know Conflikt, like I think you were on a plane every weekend for the people listening, DJs, we look at certain DJs and we're like, okay, this DJ is killing it locally. He's booked multiple times a week, and then you look at DJs like, wow, he's traveling every week. Now he's out of his market, he's on a plane every week, and you live that lifestyle for a very, very long time.
7 years.
Exactly. And that's something I always looked at, and I'm like, dang, am I that guy? Should I start putting my marbles into that and start, trying to network and get out of town gigs, which I see a lot of people now getting out of town gigs. And I'm sure when you were doing it, it was worth it for you financially at first, or did you because for me, my ideology is always like, if I can make more here, why am I going to travel? if I could, you know what I mean? But I think a lot of DJs would do it for the look, you know? A lot of people DJing for the look now and for the brand, and people look at like your local as something that's like not cool, or you're not, you know, and you're just local, bro. People, you know, like people, and I always say to myself,
who says that? Local people?
No. But even, you know, like I think it's been the goal for most DJs to travel, like, you know, and I look at it as like it's just a different market. Like you could be the local guy and work your market the same way and make more money than the guy who's traveling. And the end of the day is you want to optimize and profit. Like it doesn't matter how you do it. You
That's
know what
accurate.
I'm saying? Yeah, with at the same time optimizing your health and taking care of yourself
and your relevance in your marketplace, or whichever marketplace that is, local or domestic.
Right. So you I'm sorry to cut you off, but you did the hottest clubs, because I want to lay some foundation for the people who may not know you. You did the hottest clubs on South Beach, and then you were able to break out and you did the hottest clubs on South Beach as well as travel to other places, and you've DJ'd in, you know, I'm sure over, you know, 30 cities. Like, and what is that? How do you assess it now?
Well, that's a great question. It's actually it's a very deep question. I don't think I would have been able to answer if I was younger.
Okay, so I'm sorry to cut you off again.
Yeah, no, it's good.
But I knew this was going to happen. I have like a gazillion questions for you. But do you feel like the time period of you traveling, do you feel like it did enough? I would say no intuitively, but do you feel like it did a number on your health? Do you have any regrets of doing that traveling?
None.
Okay.
So this is good because we can actually keep going with the story. So you kind of, thank you for bigging me up to, you know, whoever's listening. But continuing the story, I told my mom I'm dropping out of college, and I continued in that back room working towards that main room. And that's all I focused on. Main room and DJing, main room and DJing, main room and DJing, like figuring out how to get there. At the time on South Beach, you only worked with one group. You know, thankfully I was working for the group that had the most amount of clubs. They had Mansion, Set, Louis, Cameo, Mokai. So I was in a time that I was rotating. I was working 3 to 4 nights a week locally for, you know, decent money. I didn't have a need to go anywhere.
I think we say more than decent, right?
Well, I was making what, you know, the first year lawyer makes, I guess.
Okay.
You know, that's one way to put it. Or, you know, definitely like the physician's assistant without the debt.
For the amount of hours you're putting in, too.
Oh, no, for the amount of hours I was putting in, I was, you know, we are.
Right.
Right. That's part of the reason no one ever leaves nightlife, because it's like fast money. You know?
Money, yeah.
I remember there was a friend of mine who was a dancer at one of these clubs that she like left, like a go-go dancer, just to clarify. She left the job. She would just do like 3 or 4 sets a night at like a club. And I saw her post something on Facebook. It's like, well, just finished my first 2 weeks of my regular job and looked at my paycheck. This is going to definitely get take some getting used to, you know, because you go out, you dance on a dance box and make $100.
Music, fun.
For an hour.
Energy,
exactly. Versus, you know, 8-hour work days. Anyway. Hold on to it or write it down. So I found my way to the main room eventually. You know, nothing lasts forever, and whoever was there at the time moved on, or there was a problem, or they gave me a slot, or let's say they said, let's switch it up. And so I'm working 3 to 4 nights a week with this group, and everything's going great. Did that for about 3 or 4 years, and then I looked around and everything was the same. So I was kind of raising my quality of life with the amount I was getting paid.
And now another branch of question from this is, you're in your 20s right now.
Yes.
And how are you managing your money at this time?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
But you did own a condo, bro.
Yes, but that doesn't, you know.
At that time you didn't.
I owned a condo, but I mean, so.
With a crazy view when you owned it, let's be clear. Like
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But that's the best thing that I did, but at the same time, it wasn't that good towards the later end. And I mean, I could explain that real quick. Once you move out of it and you like rent it out, there's a lot more costs that go into it. So it's like the rent that I was getting for that space,
and the headache, and
not so much the headache, but the association fees were crushing. So the rent would be like right here, and then the rent plus the association was over here. I was bleeding money every month once I put it out for rent. But anyway, living there was fantastic, and it was a great place to live. I was one bridge away from the beach. It was amazing. 3 or 4 years into all the main rooms of all the clubs, having a great time, enjoying myself, pushing my craft, learning psychology of DJing, I find that I'm not moving up in the financial sector. Like I always have the same amount in my bank account. That was my fault entirely because I had an expensive condo and I always had a really nice car.
What were your vices? What were your other vices at that time?
Zero.
So you just mismanaging money? How?
Well, I was spending probably like $2,000 to $3,000 on that condo, and then $1,000 on a car payment. That's $4,000, right? So like, sorry to get personal business. This is more than a decade ago. Yeah, I'm eating out almost every meal because I'm not cooking for myself, and then I would go on dates when I had girlfriends. And
damn, you sound like me right now.
And whenever I saw, here's the thing, and this is kind of continued to this day, but now it's more toned down. When I saw something that I wanted, as long as it wasn't outside of the norm, like I'm not going to buy a petrified dinosaur egg for $100,000.
Yeah.
But if I saw a pair of shoes that I wanted, I'd be like, oh, those are dope.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, I don't care. When I went to the grocery store, I didn't look at prices. I just grabbed things. Oh, I need this. I need this. And it was freedom.
Right.
At the same time, I wasn't living some lavish, luxurious life where I could get whatever the fuck I wanted at all times, but I was free enough to make simple decisions within my life that did not revolve around, can I afford it? So always had the same amount, plus property taxes and special assessments, and a lot of stuff goes into being a property owner in a condo, especially when it's an older building that they're constantly doing fixes to. You would understand. So I show up to one of the clubs one night and there's a guest DJ. Back then, you didn't have a rotating schedule. Every day you had your residency, you just showed up. Nobody had to tell you, hey, make sure you're there Wednesday. It's like, hey, you're there Tuesdays, you're there Wednesdays, you're Fridays, you're Saturdays. Every week, I don't give a fuck, show up. That's what we did. So then one night I show up, and as I'm walking in, they're like, you got a guest DJ tonight. I'm like, a what? What? I've never had a guest DJ. They were like, yeah, you're playing with this guy from Vegas. And I was like, cool. This guy shows up. I'm like, what the hell's going on? He plays the music. I'm like, oh, it's a cool DJ. It's good. And then he leaves. And then it happens again, like another week down the line. And then again, DJs from Vegas. And I was like, what's happening? The people I were working for went and bought a club in Vegas. And so they needed DJs in Vegas. And the management company that was going to provide them DJs said, hey, no problem. We got your DJs in Vegas. Let's get them through your other clubs too. And I'm like, okay. So then they were, doing
multi-market stuff,
doing business. And my mind just went, ding. Okay, so I'm doing everything locally. I'm working for the best club group, but these guys are working from Vegas. If they're working here, I want to work there. Hey, how do I get to Vegas? No one can answer that question. I asked a few people, managers.
And at this time, are DJs really traveling like that?
Some.
Okay.
This was like...
Who did you look at like, damn, he's really traveling. Maybe I need to follow his... Oh, okay.
Yeah, nobody. I never really paid attention to the marketplace that much. I was, I guess, a little naive. I didn't see it till it was right in front of me. You have a guest DJ from Vegas. I was like, oh, you can do that?
Yeah.
It had to slap me in the face for me to realize it. So then I started asking people. Nobody could get me a straight answer. I have no idea. One person told me, I'm so local, it's not even funny. They couldn't get me anywhere. Eventually, I emailed somebody, a management company, and it happened to bounce to a person that ended up leaving that. And then we got together a couple months later, and it was slow. It's like one gig in Oklahoma, one gig in St. Louis, one gig over here, one gig over there. Playing Mokai Mondays was the biggest career boost of my life because people partied at Mokai on Mondays from everywhere. People from Switzerland and Europe were coming to Mokai Mondays, giving me business cards with Swiss phone numbers. Like, I have a club in Switzerland, please call me.
And this was before the EDM bubble. You were just playing before, house
2007.
What was the music cycle like at the time?
It was open format, leaning towards up-tempo pop music.
Okay. Like house remixes or the originals? Okay, like Sierra
Boom
Goodies
Boom
type
Pow,
shit.
Goodies.
Got you.
What's the one with Lloyd and Young Jock?
Get It Shorty.
Get It Shorty. Okay. Low by Flo Rida.
Okay.
All these up-tempo precursors to...
Got you.
Yeah. So it was like a natural progression. The dancer or the average club goer was already primed. They were prepped because they were used to that 128, 130 BPM. And then when you just change the musical format from boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Same.
Sorry if I'm just being on the table.
No, someone banged the table once and the USB fell out. I was like,
Okay. So they were primed and they were ready to go. That's why it was an easy transition. So I was getting business cards from everywhere. Happened to get a business card from somebody that worked in Vegas, passed it along to my agent, flew to Vegas. They're like, yeah, you crushed it. Got a Vegas residency. And then from there, once you start building that resume, it's like a local resume. I worked at the little club and the medium club and then Mansion, and then other places want too.
so the first time you flew to Vegas, was it a boost in money or were you doing it?
Absolutely not. They said, we're not going to pay you full rate. It's oh shit, I said it. It's $1,000.
Okay.
They offered me $1,000.
And they didn't pay a flight or hotel, right?
They got me a hotel.
Okay.
So specifically the first deal, they were like, hey, it's a trial basis. We're going to give you $1,000.
With a hotel?
With a hotel.
And you pay the flight?
And I pay the flight.
So you're kind of coming out there with like, at that time, like 700 probably, 700.
Probably.
Okay. And
minus my agent commission.
I would assume you know, back home, you could get that same
down the street.
Yeah.
Without the flight.
Yeah. You could walk to the, okay.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm in Vegas.
This was a trial.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, damn, if I do this good, what kind of rate can I get? If the trial is $1,000, what are they offering if you're a paid regular?
Yeah.
If you will. It's a comedy reference for somebody that would appreciate it. The stars aligned that night, and we stayed open till like 5:30 in the morning. They said, we haven't stayed open that long since we opened the nightclub.
How long was your set?
From 12:30 to 5:30.
Okay.
5.5 hours.
Okay.
I might still have the set list saved.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So the next day there was an email and they were like, you're our guy. You're going to be here once a month. My agent's like, fantastic. Can we get some real money, please? And then they said, yeah. So I did that residency specifically for about 6 years. And I was traveling to Vegas. I was doing about 3 to 4 Vegas dates per month for the next 6 years, plus all the other stuff. So now you have my flyers from Vegas, my flyers from Miami. Who's going to say no?
Right.
You got the agent going, hey, New Jersey, look at what we got. Do you want it? It's over here and over there, 2 biggest markets.
At what point did traveling get annoying?
I want to say... Oh man, I told you at the beginning of the podcast that I didn't want to, but probably around having a kid.
Okay.
So after having a kid, I was like,
but did you ever, I'm sorry, but did you ever feel like, damn, I'm traveling a lot. I'm on an airplane every weekend. Did you feel your health like,
no,
like, okay,
look, man, I don't drink.
Right.
I'm healthy.
That's true.
I eat proper food. I exercise.
You've always been like that for the most part.
Since 22.
Okay.
Once I once I found martial arts, I was like, okay, this is my thing.
Okay.
This is my secondary. My primary is DJing. This is my second thing. Love it. So I've always been a healthy person. No, it's taxing. Yes. Does it suck? Sometimes. Right. But I optimize my travels. Traveling so much, I learned how to do it very efficiently. And I can give some. I have an idea for a book at this point. I guess I might just release. I never fucking put it out. But it's called Tips for the Traveling DJ. And all it was it's a coffee table book. Little 1-sentence blurbs. Put your DJ bag after all of your personal materials in the bin. Why? Because your DJ bag has a bunch of shit in it with cables and electronics, and they're going to go through it. So while you're putting your stuff in your pockets, they can search through your bag. So you're not waiting and your personal stuff's behind your bag, and all of a sudden they bag check and they stop the shit and everything gets there, and you're sitting there with your socks, no shoes, and nothing in your pockets, no phone to play with.
A bunch of little tricks like that.
Little simple tip.
Okay.
And then now multiply that times 7 years and 1.3 million miles flown.
Right. Yeah, exactly. 3 million miles flown.
1.3.
1.3 million. How many flights would you say?
How many flights per year? I had to have at least 110 legs for executive platinum.
So
at least 110 flights.
In total, we could say you had over 500 flights.
Every year, no.
No, just in general, in your whole in your whole career.
Yes, maybe in 18 months.
Jesus, bro, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about. So,
yeah, well, because you're talking about leaving and coming back. That's 2.
Yeah. So as I get older, coming into when I was younger in the DJ game, I started to idolize DJs that were good on the set, good in their craft. But as I got older, I started to really look up to the DJs who did the things outside of DJing, like optimizing their lifestyle, and people that were able to juggle family and do these type of things. And I was like, damn, I want to be like them. I hope to be the DJ that can be like them, which is why, someone like Camilo, who's, a family man, I think to myself, damn, how does he do that? I look at people who stay in the gym and you can tell that they take the time outside of their career to take care of themselves and to optimize. Those are the DJs that I tend to really look up to now as I get older, because optimization is everything for me. You know what I mean? So we've lived our whole life working in nightlife. And did you ever have any issues with, just the schedule? Like going to sleep at 5? How was in your 20s, even when you were local, what was your sleep schedule like?
So I didn't have issues with it. It wasn't optimal though. But I don't think it could be, because I was getting home at 5 in the morning.
Right.
You would play a lot of my sets for the group that I played with for years was about 1 a.m., 12:30, 1 a.m. for the most part till 5. Mm-hmm. So it was 4-hour sets, right?
Mm-hmm.
1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4-hour sets. So you get home at 5, you got to unwind. My friend DJ Diesel from Scottsdale told me once.
People's always told me that. Don Hart told me that too, that he can't fall asleep. Right? I get home and I take a shower and I'm out.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
My buddy DJ Diesel from Scottsdale, who oversees a bunch of clubs there, told me DJing is like taking your SATs every night, because you're applying everything that you've learned throughout your entire career, and you're actively watching a crowd and making sure that the night is profitable.
I've always said Tetris on level 10.
Sure.
I'm like, you ever play Tetris on level 10 for 4 hours? That's how it feels like when you're DJing.
Okay, so it's like that.
Yeah.
It's your SATs.
Yeah.
I like the SATs because it's everything you've ever learned.
Right.
All at once. Mixing, fading, talking, timing, song selection, progression, energy, feeling the crowd, looking at the crowd. That person's not happy. These people are happy. What do I do? Right? Constantly for 4 hours. The owner, the bottle, the birthday, the table, the
chaos,
the sparkler.
Chaos.
It's fucking chaos.
Organized
right?
chaos. Yeah.
Love it. I fucking love it. In Vegas, it was the fucking worst and the best at the same time.
Right.
Every 5 minutes. Birthday Mario Brothers. Look, dude, the worst thing that ever fucking happened to me as a musically inclined individual was somebody telling me that I had to play Ride a Horse, Save a Cowboy, or Ride a Cowboy, Save a Horse, whatever the fuck the country song is, when I was playing Future. And it's like, next song, we have a birthday and a bottle.
Yeah.
And I just looked down and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is there to do at that point, right?
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing: people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done it." There's some purist DJs that are like, "Oh, why do you do that?" Why? Because I like my job.
Yeah.
Because if that person spends $5,000 for listening to this dumbass song, then the club can play the light bill for another month, and I'll be back next month as a resident.
Exactly.
So if I have to swallow my artistic integrity for one goddamn song to be able to have job security, hey man, I think it's worth it. And people don't have to agree with me.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like, oh no, I would never.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Don't.
To each his own.
I'll take that job.
So you going to sleep at 5 or
going to sleep at 5, waking up about 1 to 2 o'clock.
Okay.
That's just what my body was doing, and I was not going to get in its way.
Gotcha.
Had I been taking vitamins, eating better, and working out throughout those years, I might have been able to and actively trying to improve my sleep patterns. There might have been ways for me to play with that. So instead of waking up so late, maybe I could have woken up earlier and found a nap in the middle of the day to maximize my time.
Okay.
So biphasic sleeping. Something that I tuned into a little bit later. So let's say I get home at 5:30 and I unwind after my SATs. I go to sleep at 6. I wake up at 10. It's 4 hours. Then I have 10 a.m. to, let's say, 2. Then I take a 2-hour nap or a 4-hour nap, 4 to 6. Wake up, have dinner, work on music, go to the club. Is it optimal? No, but neither is fucking staying up till 6 in the morning on a 3 to 4 night basis. So, and then potentially play with it, and then the adult me would have tracked progress. How do I feel after this week of doing 6 to 10 and then a 4-hour nap? How do I feel from 1 to 10? Feel like a 7. How did I feel when I did a 2-hour nap? Felt like an 8. Maybe I'm oversleeping. Maybe I don't need that extra 2.
What did I eat? When did I exercise?
What did I eat? You keep some constants at least, so you're not fucking going crazy.
Exactly. And a message for the people listening: it's very important, in my opinion, that you continuously run experiments on yourself to figure out how to optimize your well-being. That's important to me.
Self-auditing is important.
Right.
Not just experiments, but also what am I feeling? Why am I feeling it?
Exactly.
Where's it coming from?
Exactly.
Because if you just go through life just impulsively sorry, this is preachy, but if you go through life just impulsively doing what you feel, are you your feelings or are you a human?
Exactly.
You know, like don't be just your feelings. Oh, I'm so angry. Oh,
Exactly.
Why?
It's crazy. Like I'll be driving and I'll just feel so blissful, and I'll be like, "What did I eat? When did I exercise? How much sleep did I get last night?" You know what I'm
That's
saying?
good, man. I have those self-auditing thoughts when I have a negative thought, because I don't like negative thoughts.
Exactly.
So the happy thoughts, I'm like, hey, man, I'm happy because I'm happy, period.
Right.
But then the negative ones, I'm like, wait, why am I angry? Why am I upset? Why am I scared? Why am I fearful? Why am I anxious? Try to find that. You said profitable traveling. So I was doing every weekend, every other weekend.
Yeah.
As the nightclubs that I was working for were kind of on the decline, and the group was selling things off and closing things, and you know the tide shifted in South Beach and certain places closed, I was booking more out of town stuff. And it was perfectly, like if you looked at a line graph, it was a perfect X, like the downfall of my South Beach schedule and the rise of my out of town stuff. And at one point it intersected, and I was like, I don't need this fucking local shit anymore. Yeah. I just picked it up when something came across the page that was interesting or that paid well enough. And looking back on it, there's a lot that can be done financially traveling if you maximize and optimize, like we're speaking of. But because of the amount of travel I was doing, I wasn't willing to sacrifice certain luxuries. Could I have saved money if I packed my own lunch in my DJ bag and at least one meal? Yes. Could I have saved money if I had a portable water bottle that I emptied before TSA and filled it at the airport? Yes. I've probably spent hundreds of dollars on airport water. Most of them I've left because I've fallen asleep and they call my gate and I just get up and I run to it. Right? Could I have optimized and saved some more money? Yes. But in my mind, if I'm traveling every weekend, it was like I'm having my luxuries.
Exactly. Man. Like so, I thought about that too. It's like what. What is your say? As long as everyone has a different number to this, but it's like if you're saving half of what you make a month, is that good? Are you being responsible? Are you saving only 25%? Like what's the best? I think the average American isn't even saving. You know what I mean? Right. Like you know what I mean. So it is important to also live in the present as well. And know that this could end tomorrow. Let me enjoy life. Like you know what I mean? Like so I'm not there yet. I'm eating out every day still.
That's okay, man.
And I can justify it because my kitchen is always clean. I don't.
Well, yeah, because there's no one here to dirty it.
Exactly. I don't snack. You know what I'm saying? And I heavily caloric restrict. I'm into intermittent fasting and things of that nature. So I'm like a car. I go out to get gas and I come home. I don't just constantly just eat bullshit and keep my metabolism and working throughout the whole day. And I think I attribute that to like feeling good. I feel good. I don't need naps, and
that's good.
Yeah.
Hey, man, if it works for you, then who can tell you what you're doing is wrong?
Exactly.
So what worked for me for a while is not what would work for me now at all.
Right.
I realized a few years into traveling that I was making really good money, but then I started looking like really closely at it, and I was like, this might be a little too revealing, but I guess I don't want to use specific numbers. But let's say that when I was working local,
I'm sorry, question for you. Out of that period of you traveling, how many times did you miss a gig because you were sick?
Because I was sick? Yeah. 0. I missed 2 gigs throughout the 7 years.
Okay. So you traveling as much as you did, you never fell ill, like never got...
Nope.
Okay.
I missed 2 gigs. 1 flight problem, and 1 I had a little bit like of an anxiety attack before I had to go. Okay. And I was like, I don't fucking want to do this today. Yeah. I don't want to go today. Okay. And I just called it off. I didn't like traveling. I don't like flying. Yeah. But it was my job. Right. So I just got on the fucking plane. Yeah. But there was one time that I just was like, no, I'm not doing it. Yeah. Well, actually, there might have been 3. Now that I'm looking at it, but no more than that. Okay. It was a handful at most.
But it was never an illness. It was never being sick.
No.
See, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, I was on an airplane. Who knows what my immune system's like? I mean, I had COVID a couple months ago. Yeah, it was like a cold.
So did I in February.
Yeah, I was like, me from March. I was like, this sucks. And then, going upstairs sucked, and then I couldn't breathe. And then after that, it went away. Yeah. But who knows? Anyway, I looked at it and I was like, all right, if I'm local, I'm making this much. And now I'm traveling, I'm making this much. And I was like, okay, is what I'm making from travel worth the time away from family, time on an airplane, time and wear and tear on the body, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, versus what I could make locally. And looking at these two after having a very long window of traveling, I was like, I don't think it's worth it for me anymore. So like now my career, like the reason why I'm not traveling as much as I used to, specifically because I said I'm done. I looked at my agent, you know, I quit my previous agency and I hopped on with a local one. And I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. So just don't give me any more out of town stuff. I want to work on my local foundation. I want to help a new set of DJs. I want to potentially work my way into like label ownership, management of DJs, and you know, helping people and working local gigs. That's, you know, and I thought about it and I was like, look, man, I told my new agent, I'm like, let's do something where I travel just once a quarter. Like, let's pick 4 months of the year. Because I there's still a window for me. Like I just came back from Reno. I've been at it for so long that I was hanging out, just jumping on a trampoline and, you know, daddy daycare. And I get a phone call from my buddy and he's like, hey, I'm starting to book in Reno again. We just reopened. You're my first phone call. And that happens very often because you start building relationships and making friendships throughout the whole country. And then people want to have you there. Right. Once you prove yourself as a viable commodity inside of a nightclub, they're like, wow, you play good music, get along with the DJs, and you make money for us. Right. Why not? Right. So it's more than just we're going to have the Star Power Miami guy or the, you know, whatever. It's like, I actually pride myself in being somebody that does a good job. So that's why I get booked. Not because I'm like hanging out with the booker afterwards, like, hey, let's go drink some whiskey or something. Like that to me is like, meh.
I've hated that shit, bro.
I'm not a social person. I'm really not. Like I'm antisocial.
I am, but I hate small talk.
Dude, 100%.
You know, like if it's meaningful conversation, I love it. But if it feels like we're forcing this and there's no,
you know what the problem is? I don't want to be disingenuous with a human being. Like if there's a booker next to me and I have nothing to say to him, I'm not going to spark a conversation to try to get booked at the fucking club. Yeah, that's not my thing. Yeah, you know, hey, how are you? Oh, I love the lights in here. How much? Like that kind of.
I have friends that are amazing at that. Yeah, like I have like one of my best friends, Bodega Flea. But shout out to him. You know, DJ doing his thing. He's on the phone 75% of his day talking to people. I'm like, bro, I wish I had like that. It looks so draining to me. You know
if you got it, go for it. Yeah, that's I'm not knocking it, but that's just not me. Right, I can't. So I pride myself in being the person that gets called for that. So. He calls me up and I'm like, look, man, I have no willingness to travel right now. I'm focusing on my local shit. I'm starting to rebuild from like the floor up. So I am, however, going to be in Vegas for my birthday because I booked a trip for me and my girlfriend, and we're going to go out for a few days and just have time for ourselves. If you were able to line up that Reno gig to land on my Vegas week, I'll fly to Reno and do it. If it makes you look good, if it makes you look like you're pulling, you know, a recognizable DJ, good. He's like, all right, how much you going to charge me? I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to be there anyway, man. Yeah. Just, you know, what's the rate? Dope. He tells me the rate. I'm like, cool. That covers our flights, our hotel, our food, and our travel to Reno. We have a free trip. Yeah, man, I'll do it. Just get me that Saturday. Yeah. So those things will come up. So I told myself, look, man, at least 1 quarter of the year, if there's still money on the table, one of my friends, DJ friends, and I guess mentors, DJ Graham Funky, was like, right now I'm playing Hungry Hungry Hippos. So like, as long as there's pebbles on the table, I'm gonna keep going at them. Yeah, yeah. I don't want to leave pebbles on the table.
I feel that, bro. Right? Are a lot of DJs that traveled with you, maybe in your agency, do a lot of them have similar sentiments as far as...
A lot of the people after COVID, I think COVID like really changed people's perspectives.
Once they got to like sit at home and be like, oh shit, this is kind of nice.
Not just that, but also like I sat at home for a year plus without work, without like paid work. Right. And I looked around and was like, I don't need that much money. Yeah. I don't need that much money. Yeah. And then I was like, wait a minute, let me go back. So I started looking at my old expense sheets from my corporation, my account, you know, P&Ls from like the first quarter, third quarter. And I look back at 2019 and I'm like, American Airlines, $80,000. I'm like, American Airlines is a fucking partner in my DJ Conflikt business. Yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like if I'm spending $80K on flights and like travel and stuff, what am I taking home? Yeah. You know? Yeah. I could do, you know, good money work locally, you know? Yeah. So, and then I just looked at it, and after COVID really sitting down and like not being on an airplane every week, I was like, okay, that's not something that I want to go back to. And a lot of the same sentiment runs through, I think, a lot of DJs in the industry.
Did you feel better? Like, do you take away all that traveling?
The only negative, this is something that you're harping on, so we can talk about it if you want. The traveling being scary and too much and like stressful. It's not, man.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
It's not.
But a lot of DJs in the industry are not trying to do that anymore. Like you said, had that sentiment, you know? So I'm curious to see like what changed everybody's mind. You know what I'm saying? Like why? Obviously the market probably plays a big deal in it.
So I think that there's multiple factors. Number one, the peace of mind. Traveling is not stressful. It's not stressful. Traveling can be stressful. You know, I don't want to turn you away from it because I feel like if you kind of shifted focus and you were like, I want to start branching out, you could totally do it. Traveling is a little bit stressful. There's lots of things that you have to keep on, and you know, you have to be clear-minded to be able to handle it on a regular basis. In my opinion, anyway, I couldn't do it if I wasn't. You know, right? Like if you like drinking during your gigs, you like drinking when you go out of town. It might not last long. Yeah. And it might be a lot harder because then you start losing money because you got to change your flight. You start losing health because you're sleeping, you know, incorrectly and your body is not recovering, et cetera, et cetera. But it can be done. You know, it can be done. If you just focus on what you have to do, you can travel and you can make it profitable as long as you have a good local foundation. That's what I would say. Why is everyone turning away from it now? Number one, I think it's because they looked back and they were like, hey, I'm happier when I'm not away from X. I'm not away from my dogs, from my girlfriend, from my family, from my house, from my bed, from my mom, from my Sunday brunch that I like to go out and enjoy my croissant. Those things are important. When you're on the road, you're by yourself. Is it the worst? Not really.
Right.
But it's not as nice.
Right. Yeah. Have you always been like the not drinker? Have you ever drank?
Yeah. I mean, in my 20s, I used to have beers with my buddies all the time, and we just sneak alcohol whenever we could. But
in the mansion days and things like that, were you
at the beginning?
Okay.
Two things happened. Number one, I got drunk one night and I threw up. Oh, well, I guess it's been long enough. I threw up, and I was DJing, and I was like, dude, this is not okay. And then the second time, I was working this back room, and then the main room would fill up. And then when some nights, so one of the cycles that I worked there, because some nights they would just open both rooms like, fuck all, let's just go. Other nights they were like, all right, let's wait until the main room fills to let the overflow go to the back room. So it looks like the main room's not going to fill up. I'm going to be all right. I'm there with a buddy. They used to give us like 10, 12 drink tickets, whatever you wanted at the time. You know, it was insane.
Enough to get blasted.
That got cut to like 6 and then to 4 and then to 2. And then they were like, I don't know, you got to ask for it. So anyway, 12 drink tickets. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's just go. No, this room's not going to open. Let's have a couple drinks. Fuck it. You know, I'm at 21 or something. And then the room opens.
Your what?
The room opens.
Oh, okay.
So I've been drinking. And I didn't like drinking when I was working because I know that I lost my motor skills. You know, I lose my concentration. A technical DJ, WWF champion needs to be sober. Right. Really? Damn.
Yo, Con, because I had this epiphany. I mean, I had this epiphany a long time ago, but I was DJing Monday at Santo, and I'm probably at like DJing. I'm probably at drinking maybe once a week at my gigs right now. And I drank on Monday, and bro, I felt so connected. I felt like, you know, like Jordan, like Game 7 after that gig, and I was like, it felt amazing. And I was like, the worst thing about DJing is that you're probably going to DJ better when you're drinking. It's the worst thing about our job.
For some people, it's that way. For some people, they work better when they're a little loose.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
I lose my motor skills and I start making bad decisions. My brain don't work as fast. And
when I'm sober, I feel like too much like a calculator, like a robot. Like, you know, when I'm drinking, I can kind of just feel.
I'm calculator. My job is to make the people dance.
Yeah.
It just works out for me. But, you know, everyone's different. Right. I've seen DJs down bottles of Patron and work. Yeah. And I look and I'm like, dude, I would be dead in a speaker.
Yeah. Who's the best drunk DJ you've ever?
Not going there. So anyway, drinking. 20s, in my 20s, normal drinking. And then, so the room opens up and I'm drunk, or getting there. And I'm like, fuck, I'm not doing this again. This is dumb.
Yeah.
And also, I had an apartment. And my mom helped me buy that apartment. And I told her I was going to pay for it. I didn't want to jeopardize the apartment that I had and my car and my life and my freedom over bullshit, in my opinion.
And there's no Uber at that time, right? So you're driving too.
I'm driving. Yeah.
So South Beach was like drinking on South Beach, like SWAT team is like out there.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I never, you know, after that, I was like, I'm done. Yeah. So I didn't drink when I was working, and very few times since then. The problem is I was working so often in that back room. Once I left the back room, I was in main room. So now I'm working 3 or 4 nights a week. I never drink because on my off nights I don't go out, or I would go out once in a while. My buddies would all drink like fish, and I'd be like, yo, if I have one drink, like I feel nice, like I'm loose, and these guys were going bum 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 bum. I couldn't keep up, so I was like, you know what? No.
Right.
And that's when I learned how to give a good quality no. By the way, if you're watching this, there's two ways to say no. There's the way that you mean yes, and then there's the way that you mean no. Let me explain. If I offer you a drink and you say, no, I shouldn't. No. What you're saying is, if you convince me, I'll have it. No, I can't. No, I can't. You're telling me that you're going to drink if I push hard enough. Here's how you say no. Hey, you want a drink? No, thank you. That's a no.
Exactly. So ladies, when he asks you if you want to come to his crib at 3 a.m, don't no, because we think you're able to be convinced.
That would never happen because I have a beautiful girlfriend.
I'm talking about myself.
Oh, you're talking about yourself?
Yeah,
I thought you meant me.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm just saying in general, like, so the pandemic hits and now, we're all out of work, and I'm sure, you either made it work for you or you didn't. We all learned a bunch of things about ourselves. Is there something that you learned about yourself, not having a job for a whole year? Because I realized I came out of it where, like, damn, I wasn't going hard enough. Like, I had, like, regrets when I had the pandemic hit, which is why right now I'm working harder than I've ever worked before.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Like, I really held myself accountable, like I took it for granted, like my job, And is there something, anything that you learned about yourself? Like,
I can't say that there's anything that sticks out enough for me to comment on it.
Okay.
If we're talking about something in the similar field that you're bringing up, I worked really hard for 5 or 6 years in a row.
Okay.
Like, really hard. And this was the first time that I ever had weekends to myself. Weekends to go out on a date, even though we had to wear dumbass masks or go, somewhere that was like, sorry, you have to wait 30 minutes for a table because we were only seating 3 people at a time. So other than that, it was great. I did whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. It was fantastic. I guess it was a little bit more of the expanded freedom that we already have because we work as hard as we want to. And that was nice. But there's nothing that I learned that I was like, oh, wow, epiphany, or this is clicks. No.
You know what I learned? I learned that, and I'm learning it now, is like DJing 6 nights a week, DJing as much as I am right now. It's very easy to fall into a place of being, this is what I realized, the more I'm working, the lonelier I am, the lonelier I feel. And people think, how can that be possible? Because you're out, it's a social setting. But like I said, you're busy playing Tetris on level 10 for 4 hours. You don't really have time to socialize with people. It's hard to socialize with people during the day because everybody's at work. They have an opposite schedule than you. So I was in the comfort of wanting to just DJ 3-4 nights a week and making sure I'm social. But now in my mind, I'm like, yo, fuck this. I'm just trying to DJ and get as many bags as I can. But it's like, damn, I don't have time to go on dates anymore. I'm making the most money I've ever made, but it's a paradox because I'm trading off my social life in a sense,
Yes.
And it's crazy because, like, I have a night off today. It's fucking insane, and I want to go out. The average person will be like, "Why you're out every night? Why do you want to go out?" Because I want to be social. That's just why I'm at.
Most of my 20s, I lived that. I would work 3, 4, 5, 6 nights a week. There was a time, where I was working probably Tuesday through Sunday, with Monday, and then Monday the MOCA started, and then then I would pull like my Thursday. So like I need one night, and from that I think you learn a lot, and just ride it out. Just see what it's like. That loneliness thing I definitely get. I remember that there was a I bring this up a lot when I talk to people, but there was a time where I was doing these like 6-day work weeks. That at one point I'm in my house on like day 4 or whatever, day 5, and I might have like opened my microwave and something spilled, and I said, "Oh, that's not good," out loud. And then I said, "I haven't used my voice to speak to anyone in 4 days." And I heard my voice, and I was like, "I haven't heard my voice in 4 days."
Jeez,
because I was by myself.
Yeah.
So.
But it's very important to learn how to live by yourself. So that it's a blessing in a sense. If you're really learning yourself, it's important to be able to sit with yourself. But yeah.
What I would recommend, having been part of that life for a while and the life you're living now, what I would tell myself back then, find something that you like to do that is like a social atmosphere.
Like start a podcast?
Yeah, that's cool. But you're working.
This is therapy for me. This is not work.
Okay.
I have to have a meaningful conversation with people because that's what,
If it works for you, I would have probably done like yoga. I would have found a yoga class near my house or somewhere by, like something. Because first of all, if I was single, yoga class, it's like, okay, I'm going to put my mat next to her. Go over there and be like, hey, am I doing this right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now you have, social interaction. You're in a class. You might have something, just to, you're my yoga buddy. I like you.
I tried yoga, man. I was so focused on trying to copy what the lady was doing that I wasn't relaxing and doing the yoga.
Yeah, man. But it's like you pick up a guitar, you can watch somebody play, be like, okay, how do I do this? And it takes time.
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it takes a minute. But yeah, something that has to do with moving your body and socially, because we, being people that stand up I almost take stand up upright all night. I'm sure that your lower back might not be the best. You're a tall dude, and the decks are always too low for you.
Surprisingly enough, bro, for a couple of thoughts on that. Surprisingly enough, I don't have back problems.
Great,
because I think I attribute that to working my back out a lot and stretching a lot. I think stretching, as I tweeted this the other day, stretching before and after your gigs is so underrated. It's very important to do.
Yeah, I stretch during.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I grab my hamstrings and like go down and touch the floor.
100%. That's very important to do. Keeping your especially your hip flexors loose as well. Like DJs out there, look up hip flexor stretches and stuff, because that will definitely help you with your lower back and things of that nature. So when the pandemic hit, I was watching every DJ, seeing what they were getting into, and I saw you start a Patreon, and you started, some DJs want to do the live thing. That wasn't really your thing. I noticed.
I can't, man. I can't.
Yeah.
I love that people are resourceful, and they're like, they push it, and they made templates that move and tip me here, send it to Venmo, and like QR codes and things.
They're making bread, bro.
And some of them are making bread, right? Put a pin in that. Ask me in a minute why I decided for sure that it's not for me. People would do like, all right, today is New York Day, and they'd have the New York skyline behind them with a green screen and play New York hip hop, and the shit would sound great, and I'd look and I'd be like, damn, that's dope. And then I really thought about it, and I'm like, looked around my living room, I'm like, I'm gonna just play in my fucking living room.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo,
because you're coming from the high. That's what it is. Because at this point, DJing is a drug, and you need the high if you're going to DJ.
100%. What I'm saying? Give me that hit. Give me that crowd reaction. Give me that. Yes. Give me that hands up break.
I mean, that $100 bing tip is not giving you that high.
No.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Fact. Yeah.
It's not the same. The thing that gets me high, go back to my middle school days. Was that good? Did you like that? Yeah, that was
approval.
Good.
And then you ever get approval from 1,500 people at one time? Talk about the high that gives you.
That's the heroin into the main line. That's what that is.
Yeah.
So I looked at it and I was like, I can't do this in my living room and like have fun with it. It's just not gonna come out of me.
To each his own, but just not your thing.
100%. Yeah. So then I started asking around, and I was like, yo, you just streamed for 20 hours. Can you tell me like what that paid? Because if it's viable on a commercial sense, like, oh yeah, whatever, we'll set up a studio, right? It's like, yeah, I made like $1,500. I was like, that's less than $100 an hour.
Yeah.
I'm a pass.
Yeah.
That's what there's some people that make way more. But to me, the like if I'm doing something, so Patreon was a great thing. I started, 2 or 3 different things, like full steam.
Plug it, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/my favorite DJ. Here's how this came about. About 2 to 3 years ago, I thought to myself, let's start further back. 4 years ago, it's just about. How do I add another layer to my career? I'm DJing at clubs all over the country. I'm working locally. I have, I'm putting pictures on Instagram every other day or something. I was going real hard at everything at once. How do I add another layer? So I tried video blogging. Like, after the gig, I would like do a video called After the Gig. So tonight, this is what happened. And then I like kind of looked at it and I was like, fuck, man, if I'm going to do these videos every night, I have to look presentable. I can't be fucked up, like in the face at least, right? I've just been working for 4 hours. It's goddamn 5 a.m. I might have taken a flight to get there. And I was like, what do I look like? So I was like, fuck, videos are just not the shit, because now I also have to edit and like potentially what. And then I was like, maybe I'll just record a podcast, grab a microphone. And I was just in my hotel bed and I was like, this is My Favorite DJ, the podcast. Here's what happened tonight. So this drunk guy came up to me and like security came over.
I love you. First of all, I want to shed light on your podcast, bro. Make sure you follow it, but it's a DJ's DJ podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's very, it's technical, and I think there's a space for that. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's almost like an instruction manual. It's like a blueprint.
It's 100% an instruction manual.
Yeah.
It's me talking to me at 18 years old. Everything that I missed out on or could have done a lot more efficiently or faster, it's all there. Health, finances, how to get work,
And have you? And then you started putting your edits on Patreon. I fucking hate edits. Conflict.
So
I have ADD.
Tell me about it in a minute.
Okay.
But I'll tell you this because I'm very proud of this idea that I had. I had the podcast, and then I started Patreon as well. So I'm like, synergy. I'll plug the Patreon on the podcast. I already have hundreds of thousands of DJs that listen to this. So I make the Patreon, and I'm going to do it. And here's how I formulated it to work. When you go to a magic shop, you buy a magic trick that's already made. They give you a deck of cards, and they explain to you how to do the magic trick. You grab the deck of cards, and they go, all right, shuffle, and then ask me to pick one. And then you're going to know which one it is because blah, 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 blah. So then I do the magic trick, and you go, wow, that's a great magic trick. What did I do? I bought a magic trick. I didn't come up with it, right? Or, you know, cups and balls. They explain to you how to do it, and then all of a sudden you do it, and then you go, wow, that's amazing, right? What if I did the same thing with music? This is my idea from how to go from We Gotta Stay Fly a cappella loop to Bruno Mars to this third song. This is how I would do it.
So you're explaining like combos, not edits.
Yes, okay. But they're edited songs to do my pre-made magic trick.
Understood.
So now I'm giving you 3 songs and I'm showing you a video. Check it out. So I dropped this and this is how I would get into it. This is how I would get out of it. If you wanted to come in from this song, this is what it would sound like. If you want to go out to that song, this is what it sound like. So now what am I selling? My creativity. I'm selling my magic tricks.
Got you.
So somebody that's part of the Patreon is going to get some of those, and then also edits. So from the beginning of my career, I would just download music and play it. Then I played with Joe Maz, and I looked at his music, and 90% of his shit was edited, and his songs would sound different than my songs, but they were the same song.
Right.
So I was like, wait a minute, you took the best part of this song, and then you moved it to the end, and then you moved this other thing to the beginning.
Right.
That sounds a whole lot better than what I have.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then he goes, yeah, because I edit my music how I need it, and then the last 10 years, I hear a song, like for example, real like contemporary example, just to give you an idea. The new, I think it's Skrillex. I could be wrong.
And J Balvin?
Yeah. In the ghetto
sample. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an old sample from, a house song. Cool. What happens? There's like, it comes in and then all of a sudden the bass drops out and J Balvin's talking, esto sí se jodió,
right.
and she's like he's rapping about the neighbor and then then the drums kick back in. I look at that song and I'm like, that's an unnecessary piece for my fucking set.
Right. Because the energy dips. There's a lot.
It's gone.
For the people listening, the average people listening, there's a lot of times when you DJ and there's pieces in songs that don't need to be there, and they
might need to be there because the artist wanted it there, but for us it doesn't work as well.
Yeah, for the club, for a regular listening experience, maybe in the car, it's part of the song's progression, but in the club we have to optimize for energy, and I don't need a bridge without drums there for 16 bars or 45 seconds, Right. But my thing is I hate edits because I'm an ADD DJ, and I feel like because of my ADD and sitting in the same place for 4 hours, I tend to mix songs a little too fast anyway. I tend to get in and out a little too quicker maybe than I should, which is why I need to do my edits live. I need things to do. If I'm sitting there and letting the edit do it myself, I need a drink. Like, I need things to do.
So there's a difference, I think, between an edit that does something and just a short version of a song. Did you agree or no?
The thing is that I would make the short version of it live. If I'm skipping the bridge, I'm cutting into the piece where I would edit it. You know,
I see that as possible for some instances, but inefficient in others. Because if you have a good part of the song that's at the beginning, or let's say in the middle and at the end, right? So you have to play the beginning and the end of that song. Whereas if you just put it together, you could already be mixing the next song while you're waiting for that to finish.
Understood.
See what I'm saying?
I would throw the edit and then just give me a 2-bar in like.
Sure.
I have my cue points set at 1st bar, 5th bar, 7th bar. So if I got to mix in 8 bars, I'll mix in 8. If I got to mix in 4 bars, I'll mix in 4. If I got to mix in 2 or even 1, I'll mix in 1. You know, so. Yeah, I just feel
there's ways around it. I mean, you know how to edit music, so you could potentially cater to your style. That's the beautiful part of it.
Right.
For us, I think we both agree that we don't need, if you're playing house music, we don't need 1-minute breakdowns.
Right.
With no drums.
Right.
I'm not Tiesto.
Right.
I'm not going to sit there and just do this for a minute.
Right.
No one gives a shit.
Have $1 million light systems like handling the theatrics.
Shit. Yeah. No one cares.
Yeah.
So I need to go from the beginning to the fucking meat and potatoes of the song. So that's why I work on those edits. So then what I also added to the Patreon was me making the edits. Like, all right, I'm going to cut this out. This piece doesn't need to go. So now you're watching me work on Ableton. And then at the end, I'm like, all right, this edit's done. And you get to download the edit. So you're getting the magic tricks. You're getting the edit. You're getting the video. And then sometimes I'll add tips and tricks. Like, this is what I do to source my music from Spotify. This is what I would do if you ever heard me opening up in Reno. I put the first 45 minutes of my set in Reno, the first 45 minutes at my set at Dare Day Club. So DJs that are there gets almost like more magician analogies.
Pulling a rabbit out of my hat. Don't tell me that.
No. Okay. They get to pull the curtain back and they get to see all of the things that I do.
Right.
And why I do them, and I explain it all. Right. That's the Patreon. We just crossed the 100 patron mark.
Congratulations, bro.
Yeah, man.
Dope. Make sure you sign up for his Patreon. You get all the behind the scenes action. Bro, I did something different too as well. I had a 2012 MacBook, and I had it all the way up until this year.
Great.
And it ran. It was amazing for me. I only did it to DJ. I did all my production and every other thing on a different laptop. But I did something different when the pandemic hit and everything started opening up. I got a new laptop. It's time for something new, and I started doing everything on one laptop. And
did you organize?
And so this is what I did. I'm like, okay, now it's time to transfer music, bro. I have 40 gigs of music in my laptop right now. I took my main crates and I was like, yo, I'm on a minimalist thing right now, Conflikt. Everything in my life has to be minimal. Like and it optimizes my bandwidth in my brain, and all. So, bro, I only have 40 gigs in my laptop now, and people are like, yo, you're crazy. And I'm like, bro, it works for me, bro. Like I don't have, if I have a corporate crate, that's all clean music. 500 records from fucking 50 BPM all the way to 160 BPM, and then I have my main hip hop crate, and how do you like to organize your crates, by the way? Like
I think anyone that says you're crazy, there was a time where a lot of DJs were like, I have everything on my laptop. I got this album, I got that album, I got this, I got that. And I looked at it, I was like, man, I'm working with like storage space here, man. Like, at a time in my life when I was buying my first computers, I didn't have that much money. So I would get something and I would just keep the music that I'd play. And I was going to say 40 gigs sounds fine. We all play the same 35 top songs.
Well, I've been doing it for 4 months already, and I haven't had one issue where I'm like, oh shit, I don't have this song. You know what I mean? Like I forgot to drag it over. Like,
well, it also, I guess, depends on the venues that you're playing. If you're playing a lot of the similar venues, it's going to work just fine. Right. If you're playing a lot of the same, like kind of not mainstream, but if you're in the lane, you're going to be okay. There's times where I have gigs where I think, oh man, I want to play this song. This fucking left field, and I haven't played it in whenever. Like, where was I? I was doing something recently, and I was like, I'm going to play Over the Hills and Far Away by Led Zeppelin. Just the break. Bum, 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 bum. And I wish I could sing, so I could sing the break.
If you do, I'll auto-tune you.
Oh, man, I wish. So I was playing like rock and roll. I love rock and roll or something, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm playing this Led Zeppelin break. And I played it, and then I got out of it. And if I didn't have it, I wouldn't play it. But this is those kind of like left field things that all of a sudden, like that's my inner music muse that just like whispers the songs in my brain, and I'm like, or in my soul, and I'm like, yes, I'm gonna play it.
Bro, I have a theory that, and I was talking to some club owners about this as well. I have a feeling that I'm gonna be able to DJ, or we're gonna be able to DJ later than we think in our lives, because we talked about and even club owners are looking. There's no young DJs.
There are, but
we haven't found it. They're looking. They're literally like, I want to find a DJ between 20 and 24. Like, where's the young crop of DJs? And these new kids are not aspiring to be DJs anymore. It's interesting. I don't know if it's because the streaming climate. I don't know if it's they have no.
I think their attention might be pulled away, right? You know how you have those like government metrics where it's like, by this year we're going to be deficient in nurses by 25%, because they're tracking how many people need nurses and how many nurses there are, and in school,
right,
and how many nurses are retiring. These drop off, and then the new ones, right. And then they calculate, well, because we only have 15% of the school population becoming new nurses, but we're going to need really 35% of them. We're going to have a shortage of 10% by this year. We can't do that with DJs because no one gives a fuck and no one tracks us, right? But you and the owners talked about it. So I think maybe the distractions that exist in the world now, the social media thing, like it used to be, you could do a couple of things that were cool. Just a couple. It wasn't a lot. Skateboarding, graffiti, and a lot of the hip hop shit, breakdancing. DJing, MCing. What else was cool in the 90s to do? BMXing, something to do with like, you know, like sports. What else?
Damn, bro, I think you hit it all.
Something maybe karate. People might be like, ugh, karate, that's so 80s.
I don't even think fighting was cool.
It wasn't,
in the
right?
90s,
No.
yeah.
So what else is there to do that's cool? Not profitable, but cool. Because you could be like, oh, I'm learning how to code. And everyone in the 90s would have laughed at you, and now that guy owns a fucking mega yacht, right?
Right.
But at the moment, was it cool?
I think these kids are optimizing for social media. So DJing not necessarily is going to get you the crazy likes and the crazy, but it could give you a career. It can make you a lot of money. But I don't think
now if I ask you what's cool today, how many answers you got?
Yeah.
Everything I mentioned plus
Whatever gets views is cool. That's what's cool.
plus everything else.
Yeah.
The whole world. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Jumping out of pool, jumping off your roof into pools, if you get views, is cool.
Now I have my kitty blog, and now I have kittens every week. Look at my new
Right.
kitten. This is what's cool for me.
Right.
And there's that, you know, 1,000,001 things is possible because of the internet. So maybe, I never really thought about it that way, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's just, you know, we'll do it or maybe it's just
The only thing that'll end it, I think, is technology.
That was
Like
what I was gonna say.
if clubs start to rather have jukeboxes and karaoke machines and shit, then we're scarred. But like for the most part,
we'll run it until the robots take over is what you're saying.
exactly.
I'm not opposed.
Yeah.
It's good money.
Yeah.
But I like I said, I have my plan B. I'm going. I just did 2 college courses. I'm going back because if I end up in the next 5-6 years, if I end up aging badly, you know, you see somebody after a couple of years like, damn, you got old. If I fall under that category, then I want to be able to pull the plug on myself.
Right.
Not have the people take me behind the barn and fucking cap. You know?
Right.
Like I don't want to be taken out by the thing that I loved. I'd rather be like, thing that I loved, it's time for us to
Bow respectfully, yeah. That makes sense. And for me, I mean, I'm already there, bro, to where I hate the music I'm playing.
Oh.
Like, you know? But I'm at the point where I'm pretending now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, with exceptions, which is why I actually love the Spanish, like learning, like, bro, investing in I hated hip hop in the climate that I was in, that, bro, I was just like, I'm going to completely change my environment and go straight Spanish. And I really liked it because I was learning and I got addicted to it. And now, bro, it's like I'm in 2 worlds. Like Sundays, I do a brunch in Doral from noon until 4. I'm playing all Spanish music. And then 3 hours later, I go to South Beach and play all hip hop for like golds and dreads and like, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I think versatility is.
But you might not like the music. Versatility is very important, 100%. But you might not like the music, but you like the reactions the music gets you, right?
100%.
So then fucking focus on that.
I know. I gotta stop playing Bobby Shmurda because it gives me a reaction every time.
But
But
I didn't like playing certain records either. One of my buddies, one of these mentor DJs of mine, who's a really good friend of mine, Graham Funky, also told me one time, he's like, hey, you're a good DJ. Or he'd call me a good jock. You're a good jock.
Damn, he was old school.
Yeah, he's old school. He was one of the first traveling guys. How do you play these records? Specifically, he was a pop artist. And like not die on the inside. And I go, Graham, if I'm okay with what I play, then I'm going to be okay on the inside.
Yeah.
I don't have to have a feeling about what I'm doing. Maybe I don't like that record, but if I have a negative feeling, then it might translate. So I'm just going to do what I have to do. Focus on the reaction. It's like it worked. I'm gonna focus on that, not the sound, but the people. They like it, cool. And then focus on the ones I do like.
Yeah, but I'll even take it. I guess me coming from radio, like I Brick, bro. I'll get on the mic and I'll say, before I had to play Old Town Road, I'll say I fucking hate this song, but I gotta play it, and I'll play it. You know what I'm saying? And people kind of identify with it, like, you know, like,
listen, it doesn't get any worse than Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy. That's the song, right?
Yeah. Old Town Road was the recent.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is, Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy.
Yeah, that's the country song. Yeah,
that I brought up.
Yeah.
In Vegas.
Oh, okay.
When I'm playing Future and they're like, Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy.
Yeah.
Doesn't get worse than that.
Yeah.
I can't think of any combination in the world where it's like you're playing hip hop and you're like in Future. So like, where would you go next? Maybe like some Drake, maybe a throwback like Jock to like get people like singing and dancing. No, country.
Yeah.
105 BPM to 84.
When someone can come in and just disrupt your timing.
Well, no. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, in that moment, if I didn't die on the inside, which I didn't, I was like, how do I make this work? I gotta fucking, I don't remember what I did, but I just remember that piece. Then everyone's gonna be okay if you're playing one song you don't like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're gonna live.
Yeah.
It's not Future to country.
Yeah, it's just, and then the climate on South Beach, man. I had to turn down, the next 3 Fridays at a club I really wanted to work at, but they just weren't paying the rate that made sense for me. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, man, like the climate on South Beach now is just bottle parades come first before the timing of the music. So you'll play a hit for 13 seconds. And, you just played one of your spades, and now it's like, no, you got to cut this off right now, play this right now for the bottle parade. Now I just wasted one of my spades.
Did you, though? Or can't you just, like, pull it up?
What do you mean?
Like, bring it back. Play it again.
And what, go from Star Wars and then go back into the song I played?
Yeah. I did this for years. And it happened multiple times. It's just a matter of maximizing those important tracks. And you talk on the microphone, just be fucking creative with it.
Yeah.
All right, you know what's up? You keep popping those bottles in the middle of this hottest song.
Yeah.
Like, let me see if you do it again. I'm going to play one more time. If more bottles come out, I'm going to stop it and play one more time.
That's
and you
true.
play it and you just wait. And even if they tell you not to stop it,
right,
and another bottle comes out, you stop it. You go, what? Another bottle? We're pulling it up again. Let's see how many bottles we can get out.
Right.
Make a moment out of it.
Right. That's
and then
true.
you stretch that one song. About 7 minutes in.
That's true. Just the disregard for timing by like management and clubs.
Make it fun for yourself.
I did. It was the first time I DJ'd in 15 years. Where it was the first club I ever DJ'd at on South Beach. I'll tell you, it was Jones. The first time they didn't have a bar. They took out the bar, so all the alcohol was coming from a door and a bottle. There was no GA.
That owner's the guy that made me, by the way.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But I wonder where that concept came from. Like, are they doing that in Vegas now? Is Jones one of the first places to do that? And let's just put all the couches we can. Like, it was interesting to me.
There might be limits to how many people they can sit or how many people they look. If I look at it in knowing who the owner is, it might be an algorithm that he kind of looked at. He's like, all right, how much are we making at the bar? X. How much are we making on bottles? X. That means that we have to have at least this many people in the club to make that bar profitable. Because we need, let's say, 35 people at that bar per hour to buy one drink for that bar to do what the tables do. But because we're capped at, let's say, 65 people in the club or whatever, 100 people, whatever, that means that our bar traffic is not the 35 per hour. However, if we put the tables in and now we force people at the door to say, hey, we don't have a bar, so you have to buy a table before we let you in. So now you're guaranteeing the club a profit. Instead of, just come in and have a drink and someone buys one $20 drink, now you're telling them at the door, it's $200 per person, but you're getting a bottle.
See, that's interesting. Yeah, because when you allow GA in, you don't know if they're going to buy one drink or 20 drinks.
You don't. There's a way of going around that, which when you're a very popular club, you can tell them, we'll let you in, but you have to buy a bar tab. Meaning you have to give us $200 now or $500. We don't care if you drink it or not, but you have that much money open to you at the bar.
Right. The fuck was that? Oh.
That's it.
No, okay. So the things you like to do outside Conflikt, I noticed that you're into by the way, I'm still going to do that, by the way. You're training, you're helping people tactically train for their
no. It's way more basic. Don't
Wait, what?
I have imposter syndrome when it comes to this stuff, so I try to minimize
tactical
it.
train.
Yeah,
that's not the right word. I feel like you're like on some Call of Duty shit. It's tactical, right? Like,
it's just a gun safety course.
I saw a chick. I was one of the Instagram chicks. I'm like, damn, she's with Conflikt and she's there like taking pictures.
It's a gun safety course, man. So during pandemic, when I sat on my hands for 6 months and I was like, okay, I'm bleeding money and I'm not making any. What's the second thing that I like to do most since I can't go into nightclubs and play music and I don't want to stream? And the Patreon was just, kind of starting to. And I thought, okay, the second best thing that I like is martial arts. Boxing, fighting, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, judo, knife fighting, and shooting. So I went and I got certified. I took a class to be able to teach a gun safety course.
Did you have your concealed before then?
100%.
And if so,
since I was 22 years old.
And you always traveled with it to your gigs?
Everywhere it's no. So there's a reciprocity map, which means that the state of Florida issues you a concealed weapons permit, and you can take it into other states as long as they honor that permit. Some states do not honor the permit.
Well, okay. I was more referring to locally, like driving to your gigs.
So there's a couple things. Some states, so I could travel with it. If the state had reciprocity, I could. But now you're adding an hour to an hour and a half of earlier airport check-in.
I fuck all that.
Because you have to go, you got to declare your firearm, you have to sign that it's unloaded, they have to put it under the plane. So that takes time, and you have to see an agent. The way that I efficiently would travel is I had my boarding pass on my phone. I showed up 45 minutes before the flight was taking off, scan my phone, go straight, sit on my chair, and go to sleep. Right. So I have to a lot of places, yes. But then it's like, all right, so now I'm carrying concealed in the state. And now I get to the hotel room. I got to lock it up. I got to go to my gig. Is the hotel a good hotel?
It doesn't make sense out of town.
Is it a bad hotel? You know, I'm not really doing much in these cities. I wasn't going out being a tourist and like, you know, flashing like I'm a tourist in a lot of places.
But driving to Mokai every Monday, you have it on?
If I'm going anywhere, it doesn't matter if I'm going to a nightclub or the supermarket or the post office or a school or I've mentioned these specifically because each one of these carries a different weight. There are certain laws in the state of Florida, but I'm not an attorney and this is not legal advice for anyone. This is what I do. I'm not telling anyone what to do. When I go to the grocery store, I'm allowed, and everyone is allowed to carry if you have a concealed weapons permit. When you go to the post office, no one is allowed to carry unless you have a special, you know, if you're a federal license or you are a police officer or something like that, because it's a federal building. Federal buildings are a no-no. So, and if you go to a school, depends what kind of school. Universities sometimes are like, we don't really want you to, but if it's in your car, we can't stop you. Some places. So other universities are like, no matter what. But then you have the county ordinance that allows it in some places. If it's a younger school, like high school or elementary school, middle school, you're not allowed to have any firearms inside, no matter what. So
what about nightclubs, though?
Nightclubs, the general rule of thumb, I'm not an attorney, this is not legal advice. Please do your own research.
Do your Googles.
If the establishment sells 51%, or if the establishment makes 51% of its profit from alcohol sales, it's considered a bar. Bars are no-go for concealed weapons.
Can you drive with it and leave it in your car?
If you wanted to, yes. Is it good operational standards to do that? No, because cars get broken into. And the last thing you want, if you're a law-abiding gun owner, is to have to look a police officer in the face and go, I left it under my seat and they smashed my window. Because that cop might, you know, at the end of the night be faced with your fucking gun from some dickhead that broke into your car.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
But at the end of the day, what if you need your gun for your commute?
Then there's a way to do it. You have to properly and efficiently lock it up in your car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Lock boxes. There's special car safes.
I think that defeats the point, right?
Not entirely. Because if you wanted to do that, this is not advice. If I wanted to carry my gun wherever I was going, let's say I'm going to the grocery store to buy some ice cream, and I don't want to take it with me in the grocery store, and I want to leave it in my car, which you could bring it in if you wanted to or not. If I had wanted to leave it in my car, I would have a center console lockbox, or I would have a lockbox maybe built into the glove box.
But ride with it on your lap?
Ride with it on your person.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have a concealed weapons permit, you have to efficiently know how to carry on yourself. Because what's the purpose of, if I have, if the problem arises and my gun is over there, I got to reach all the way over there. Hold on a second, bad guy.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Is it illegal to not have your concealed and just have a gun and keep it in your house?
So I'm not an attorney and this is not legal advice, but in the state of Florida, what?
This is a law. Like
no, in the state of Florida, you, as far as I understand, you can have your gun in your car without a concealed weapons permit, just not on you.
Okay.
And it has to be securely encased.
Okay, but so that defeats the purpose in my mind.
It not entirely, because what does that mean to you, securely encased?
That if someone comes up to me and I'm in Wynwood and someone comes up to me to my window and I have to, like you said, hold on, bad guy, let me unlock my case real quick.
Wait. I didn't say you had to lock it. I said securely encased.
Okay, so center console, boom, 3 seconds.
Could be.
You teach that move?
I don't.
Okay.
Basic gun safety during the pandemic when I wasn't a full-time DJ.
Okay.
So there's people that will look at that and say, what does securely encased mean? What does that mean? Does it mean in your glove box? Is that okay? Does it mean in your center console? Is that securely encased?
I would say something in my mind, intuitively, I would say something that can be closed that prevents it from being out of your vision.
Sure, maybe. Yeah. I don't know because I have my concealed weapons permit, so I don't have to deal with that.
Right. Okay.
But so, and it's fairly easy in the state of Florida to get it. And I've actually been thinking about doubling down because I want to do more. I really enjoy going out to the gun range and shooting around. And like when I have students that come out, I do the gun safety course. They take that certificate. They get their concealed weapons permit with it. You know, you got to fill out forms and fingerprints.
What kind of gun do you own? You own a Draco? I'm joking.
No. So
any
like
rapper guns?
I wouldn't disclose that kind of stuff. So I'd rather just not divulge certain information. Like, you know, that would keep me.
Are you vaccinated? Is that too much? Is that
so? Crazy? In regards to COVID, no.
Was that a good segue? I'm working on my segues.
Was terrible.
Damn.
But I was floundering and I
tried to use the tone to like make up for the.
No, there's just certain things like, you know, you asked me before the podcast. You're like, what do you not want to talk about? And I told you specifically.
Right.
So it's like that. This other kind of thing is like not the thing that, you know, I enjoy martial arts. I enjoy going and. There's a thing at the UFC gym that they have. It's called Fight Camp on Saturdays, and it's 2 hours. 1 hour of drilling, 1 hour of sparring. So 1 hour you kind of like work with a partner and you work on drills, and then 1 hour you just spar. I fucking love it. I really enjoy that. I enjoy going to the gym, and sometimes I'll push weight, and sometimes I hit the bag. From the moment I encountered martial arts, it's been a passion of mine. I fucking love it, all of it. Like encompassing. Like I've done so much. I've done boxing. I started with judo, then I did Muay Thai. Then I did boxing. Then I did eskrima, which is like fighting with like sticks. Then I did knife fighting. Then, you know, the gun throughout the whole thing. I was working and learning how to do that. And jiu-jitsu as well. So like, I love all of it. It's all fantastic to me. It's like, I don't know, not an infatuation with, you know what it is? I kind of came to this conclusion the other day. I don't like violence. I do not like violence. I grew up in a household that like was domestic abuse was prevalent, and I did not like that. But I was too young to help. When I got old enough,
that's interesting that you didn't adapt that because most people would adapt that.
Do like you mean adopt the violence?
Yeah,
and be that person.
Be that, yeah.
No, I'm glad that I didn't.
Right,
but in a way, it's still with me. It's still traumatic because growing up in that environment. Being too small to do anything, when I was old enough to do something, I will never allow an injustice inside of my
circle.
Anywhere that I can reach, see, or touch happen because I can do something about it now. And I dislike violence, and I don't like being violent, and I don't, you know, whenever someone's not doing something that they're not supposed to, I would ask them politely to not do it. And I found this the other day, which was very ironic, funny, and at the same time kind of scary. The best way to prevent violence is to be so violent that you extinguish the violence that comes to you.
Right.
The best way
fear, instilling fear.
The best way to stop violence is to extinguish the violence coming to you with a greater amount of violence.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So training yourself
in war, that's with anything.
Like, training yourself to that level, you know, is something that I think about. It's like I'm a peaceful person and I don't want any problems ever.
Have you ever had to use it?
No, and just at the gun range, dude. I never had to do. I fought once in 5th grade.
You never had like a DJ come up behind you and like get crazy with you, like
no one ever, man. First of all, we're big guys.
Yeah.
So I feel like first of all, you're putting out this this nonverbal communication to the world.
Yeah.
Immediately, it's like, that's a big dude.
Yeah.
Size, power, right?
Yeah.
No, man, I've never had to even come close. Like the closest I come to is sparring. There was one time on South Beach where some guy was being a dick, saying a bunch of shit as I was walking by with a buddy of mine, and I just kept talking to my buddy.
Yeah.
You know, this is like 5 years ago. So like at this point, I weigh 195 pounds. And he keeps talking shit, and I look at him, and I'm just like, you know, I'm not going to engage. I just keep talking to my buddy. Who knows what he was calling me? You know, a bunch of shit, racist stuff potentially, and he kept walking, and then he stops, and like I caught him out of the corner, and I stopped, and then he starts walking towards us. So I'm like, oh, fuck, because that's like if you're gonna talk shit and keep going, that's cool, man. But like when you start closing the distance on me, that means that you have proximity to engagement, and I'm not about that life. I'm not going to let you get the jump on me. So now I turn around and I start walking backwards, and he keeps talking shit. And then about the third step that I'm walking backwards, I literally just go, be careful. And I planted my back foot, and I like gave it a good snug turn because I knew that there was either a push kick or a right cross coming.
Say, what was the move?
Push kick or right cross, depending on how I wanted this guy to go down. Mm-hmm. And so I looked at him right in the eye and I said, be careful. And I planted my foot and I remember the moment because I was like, I guess this is it, right? So I plant my foot and I turn it just enough to have leverage so I could push off that foot depending on what I wanted to do and what kind of action he would take. If he runs, it's a punch. Mm-hmm. If he stays, it's a kick. Mm-hmm. And I looked at him and I said, be careful. And he looked at me and our souls met in that moment. And he started walking backwards. Mm-hmm. And he left.
Mm. Damn, I think I need to get like a little stance to look dangerous like that. Hey, be careful, bro.
I didn't mean it like, hey, be careful. I just, it's the only thing that came out. Right. Because I was genuinely concerned for this guy because I was going to, not have his night end well. Yeah. Or maybe my night would not have ended well. But who knows? Violence sucks. Don't be violent. Yeah. No one.
Yeah. So what are the type of, outside of DJing, what type of investments are you into? Any are you into stock? Are you a crypto guy? Like
it's kind of hot in here. By the way, I'm sweating all over.
We got 13 minutes on the memory card, but let me put the.
I'm a big dude. Investments. So here's what anyone that's out there listening, I wish that earlier in my life I would have heeded this advice, and it's very, very simple. Compound interest is the greatest force in the universe, as said by Einstein. Compound interest.
We're going to need more than 13 minutes.
Man. No, you're not. It's very simple.
Okay.
Don't fuck around with a bunch of different things. Like the stock market right now is flying. Mm-hmm. Real estate is flying. There's a bunch of things that's like, oh, let's hop into that bubble. Let's hop into this bubble. Cool. It's been simple and it's always been the same. If you look at a trend line of the stock market of the United States from 1868 to today, it's just one continuous upward motion. Now, granted, you look at small periods and there might be dips, 2008, and then just recently for COVID. But the time in the market is time in the market. This is real simple. If you're 20 years old and you put $100 inside of an index fund every week, you're going to have $1 million by the time you retire. That's how compound interest works, because you do like 8% on your money, compounding for, what would that be, 45 years. You're going to have $1 million at $100 a week. That's it. You want to, I'm not an investment advisor, and I don't do what I'm telling you, but the real simple way to do it, $100 a week.
You're saying from 1860, okay, we got 100 years, a little more than 100 years.
150.
Right. That's a pretty short time.
Sure. But if the trend for 150 years is upward, what do you think it's going to be for the next 100?
We can't say.
We can't. But don't you want to bet on the previous 150?
Right.
If I tell you this one horse has won 150 years in a row, and that horse is the United States stock market versus all the other countries, which one would you bet on the next race?
Yeah, that's true. But I wish I was optimistic about the future.
Sure.
And I'm not.
That's cool.
And I don't know what society is going to look like 20 years from now. I'm actually pretty scared.
Oh.
And
what are you scared of? Are you a prepper?
Just things are, do we take this where, do we go AI with this? Do we go just what society stands for? Do we go with what the internet's going to turn people's mind into, as far as what we see already with misinformation and division?
That's always happened though. Actually, I heard a podcast today. They were talking about it, and the first books that got printed, apparently, does my hair look okay?
Yeah, you're good.
The first books that got printed were not like books on information or encyclopedias or medicine. The first books that were printed and that were popular were How to Spot a Witch and Kill Her. People were consuming garbage. The first printed books that went out in mass. That's why you got a bunch of witch burnings and stuff that happen in this country. So whenever there's a new medium, apparently there's a bunch of bullshit that comes through until we filter out all the crap. Right. And then we're like, oh, we can use books for knowledge.
Right. But the tough part is right now is that everyone thinks they're right. And everyone has an equal voice in it. So now it's like, you got big tech, can control.
If you turn off your phone, do you hear them?
Yeah, that's true. If you turn off your phone, you wouldn't even know COVID existed unless you went to the grocery store.
Well, you just go out and you start seeing people in masks. You're like, hey, what's going on? Yeah. You would catch on pretty quickly. I have a metric that some people don't like. It's like, oh, it's way too simple. It's way too basic. This is how I live. I look outside my window. I look down my street. I look down the other way. I don't see fires. I don't see people dying. I don't see protests. I don't see smoke. I don't see anything bad. That's it. What matters to me is my family and my neighbors.
Right.
If everyone feels that way, if everyone takes care of it that way, every neighborhood in America will be protected, right?
Right.
You worry about your family and your neighbors.
Right.
If my neighbor needs something, how can I help you?
Right.
Because when I need help, I'm going to go to you.
Right.
I'm not going to go 30 streets over,
Right.
I'm gonna go to the person next to me.
But people are more concerned with their virtual neighbors now, which is the issue.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Like I have a theory, like the people that tend to be more over concerned with COVID, and this is all relative to where your threshold is on what being over concerned with COVID is, but I have a theory that the people that live in like a bubble, like a routine bubble where they don't, I'm out all the time, and I'm meeting multiple people every single night, and I'm talking to multiple people every single night. So I use them as my sample size of what's going on. That's how I assess the situation around me, But a lot of people who are super, scared, and I feel like they don't have that real life sample size, or it's very minimal, and they're using the news statistics and things of that nature. I like to use tangible in front of me statistics and the way I live my life. If I have 4 friends that just got COVID, okay, now it's on my radar. But things that aren't on my radar, I tend to just, not be overly concerned with.
Sure. But you're looking at your environment. You're basing a lot of your reality of what's going on in your immediate proximity, which is cool.
Right.
I mean, I think that's an okay thing to do. And why worry about the people that don't do that? It's like, sorry, if you're not going to help, this is one, I think the internet would be a better place. You're not going to help or change someone's mind that doesn't ask for help.
Yeah.
Like I have a buddy of mine who's like, yo, this is what's happening. Like, this is going to go on, and this vaccine means this, and people are going to die, and heavy on that side.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, we're really far apart on what we believe and what our perceptions are. So like you're my friend.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to defriend you.
Right.
I'm going to tell you when you're saying things that I dislike or disagree with.
Right.
But we're still friends, man.
Yeah.
But you're not going to convince me either.
Right.
Because there's a deep valley between your perception and my perception.
It's religion and politics. You can't really change someone's beliefs. You know 100%. What I'm saying? It's connected to their values, and it's just, you're wasting your time, even when you put numbers in front of people's face, which gets scary, because now you can put science and proven facts in front of people's face.
Yeah, the difficult part is, man, that like a lot of the stuff that we see and we hear about now, it's like, I understand that governments need to do certain things to exist. It's how it's always been. Mm-hmm. It's even before we had countries, like kings would have to do shit to keep things going. Like when you have a massive amount of people, there's certain actions that some people have to take to potentially be like, this might be for the best of it. I don't know. Let's figure this the fuck out. Mm-hmm. So you start hearing about things that the government has done, places where it's fucked up, things that it's lied about, promises that politicians didn't keep. And you start aggregating that, and then you get somebody that looks at all that, and then the government says something like, you're lying again.
Right. Trust issues. Yeah.
So it's trust issues. So
now, and then
I don't fault those people, but I look at it and I'm like, man, it's kind of tough. Like some of the videos that you're sending me are from weird ass websites that have nothing to do with anything that I've ever seen before.
Right. And all those, issues of lies and mistrust, people tend to come up with, there's a bigger picture happening here. You know what I'm saying? People automatic, and I guess there's comfort in that. There's closure. It brings people peace, I think, because a lot of things, life is not going to always give you closure. You got to be comfortable with not knowing. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people can't just be comfortable. They got to tell themselves a story that'll bring their mind peace. You know what I'm saying? So when you get thrown all this misinformation and lies, you being scarred you'll start to tell yourself a story like, oh, this is not adding up. You start to say they, and then I'm the type to be like, who's they, bro? Like you're giving they too much credit. Like, is there, does they have group chats and they're sending emails and they care that much about the 4 generations in the future, about depopulating the whatever story, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, it could be true, but I don't think people just want to live their lives, man. I don't think there's a secret society getting together and we're going to use the 5G top, like all this, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's all the conspiracy, like, I'm not in, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man.
I do a good Alex Jones impression. I think you're right. And I think as long as we can have this conversation, there's hope.
Right.
Because what you just mentioned was the beginning of religion. Right. Right. When it doesn't rain, or religion or belief systems. Right. When it doesn't rain and someone goes, well, if we do this dance by the fire, it'll rain. And then you do it and then it rains. Coincidence, obviously. Right. Now we look at it as coincidence, but if you're in that moment, you're like, we got to do a rain dance. Right. Now it's the belief system. Right. Now you tell that farmer, you're a fucking idiot. That's not how you do it. Rain is precipitation that goes up when it's warm and then the clouds form. He goes, blasphemy. It's the rain dance. I've seen it. I've done it. We as humans like to make things easy to understand because that's when we feel comfortable in our little fucking meat skins.
I don't, it's difficult. When the vaccine came out, when the polio came out, everybody took the vaccine because it was the thing to do. But when you have everything so fragmented and everyone has a different opinion and a different belief, it's impossible for this country to get on the same page, for humanity to get on the same page.
Well, so, we have been kind of divided for a while, specifically through politics. But maybe the narrative, having a platform, this seems really utopian and silly, but just fucking roll with me for a second. Maybe the narrative needs to be switched from what do you believe to what do you like to do? Do you like pancakes? Do you like fruit? What do you like to do on Sundays when you have free time?
We focus on our commonalities.
Bingo.
Not our...
Why the fuck are we focusing on what you believe if it's different than me?
Yeah.
Like, you have love for your kids if you are a parent.
Right.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
You want to vote red, I'll vote blue, or you vote blue, I'll vote red. Cool, man. But whatever. How are your kids?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Well, no, Jimmy's XYZ and this, well, let me see if I can... Humanity,
right.
Commonalities.
Yeah. We both like martial arts. You like this. You
great way of bringing it up. Why do we have to? You know why? Because it's just it sparks our human. I want to be right. I had a talk with my cousin. He's like, dude, how are you so even keel? I was like, I don't really care if I'm right or wrong. If I'm having a conversation with someone, I don't have to prove a point. He's like, how do you do that? I'm like, I have no idea. I just don't care. Like, if you want to, this buddy of mine, it's like constantly sending me videos, and I'm like, bro, I'm telling you, I don't believe any of the shit you're sending me. This is cool, man. I'm not opening these videos because I'm not going to waste an hour and a half of my time with someone, talking shit about how the world's going to end in 13 months.
Right.
But you're still my friend. But send me stuff about this other stuff. Yeah. I like when you do that.
So I said this analogy the other day, and it was like, and I use it toward, my mental health, and just because, we all get crazy thoughts. And I said this the other day, like, I use thoughts as, I look at them like leaves in a river, and, there's going to be a bunch of crazy leaves in the river. There's going to be me thinking, positive thoughts. There's going to be me thinking fearful thoughts. There's going to be me thinking, all type of emotions within that river of thoughts. And I'm just going to pick out the thoughts out of the river that are productive and healthy for me. And I'm going to decide if I'm going to put them in my pocket or I'll put them back in the river and let them go. But I don't have time to entertain all these different, I'm just going to let them flow, bro. And I'm going to just pick something that's going to be best for my health. Because I can't even entertain something that's not best for my health.
I like that idea. That's great. It's good advice.
Boom, 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 boom. Oh, this is interesting. So pre-pandemic, my ideology toward requests, right? It was, I had like integrity. I guess it came from radio. Like I won't accept money for requests,
that came from radio.
Yeah, that's funny, right? I mean, like what it's supposed to be, what it stands for. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but bro, I would barely take money for requests. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I wanted to play a song, I would. If I didn't, bro, if something happened in the DJ culture, because I talked to a lot of DJs after the pandemic, and it's like money. Like I'm making a sign, I'm making a QR code, and if you want to scan the QR code and tell me that we have request, like I wasn't like this pre-pandemic Conflikt.
I just gotta clear my notifications just to show you. Hold on, keep going.
Yeah, it's like, I need money for this. And I was never like, that's your background?
Yes, it's my lock screen. Do you know why?
Show that to the camera, bro.
I don't know if you're gonna see it. Yeah, you can definitely.
We only speak $100 bills over here.
You know why? Because people hold up the phone when they talk to you in the club. They can't speak to you, so they show you the song. Ooh. So now when they show me the song, I go and I show them my phone. And then after that, if they want to continue to have the conversation, we can definitely talk about it.
But it's crazy. I feel like my tips, I've never made tips like this in my life since I'm like, why didn't I have this approach before the pandemic?
That's so scary. There's a lot of liquidity in the system.
Yeah.
That's why it's changed. People have stimulus. They got money. It's PPP loans.
Yeah.
That's why.
But nothing is free anymore. Like, it's like, bro.
No, because
I've been making like $100 extra a gig in cash and tips, bro.
That's devalued.
Yeah, and then I do a thing where I'll do a shout out, and then I'll do it on purpose, because then more people come up and I'll be like, $5. I'm maybe not a shout out. It depends if I'm in a bad mood, but like, I'll do a request. Shout out to you want to hear this song? Boom, that'll open the floodgates to people wanting to get requests.
Fuck all. That's crazy. Then that's a lot. I'm not interested in all that, man. Yeah. Even though it could be
certain gigs, can't do it all the time.
Certain gigs, though, I could see it.
When I'm in 6th gear prime time, I'm going. I don't got time for that. But I'm saying
100. See, that's the thing, man. It's like I would want to say it. shout out to.
By the way, first plug your my favorite DJ. Follow him on all platforms, right? We did that before it shuts off.
And then patreon.com/my favorite DJ for the Patreon. Boom. I would say, thanks, Joe, for the $100 tip. Here's a song you requested. Right. And then I play the song. Right. And then after that, it's like I'm opening the gate, but there's a ticket price.
Right. I gotta be exactly. And I gotta be very careful now because I think shout outs and not requests, but shout outs do a service to your DJ set and add to the club and to the value.
But too much makes you a cruise DJ, like a Carnival Cruise Line. Like,
yeah, you got to be very careful with how you. I mean, it's how you sound too at the end of the day. But I'm very careful not to do that first shout out until it's time, because if I open those gates too early, I'm getting tapped like this at brick, like.
And I've told customers that specifically when they come up to me and it's like 11:45 and they're like, "My friend's birthday's at midnight. Can you please, like, give him a shout?" And I'm like, "Listen, I would love to, but the problem is if I give your friend a shout out at midnight, I'm gonna get requests for shout outs starting at midnight. Right. What I would rather do is play what's your friend's favorite artist? Can I play them a song?" Or ask them what they want to hear, and I'll make it work. Like, I say artist because now I can pick. Because if they go, "Oh, I want to hear," I'm pigeonholed and they want to hear.
But if you do, there's a price for that.
Look, if they're genuinely nice and then they come in an appropriate manner, I will always give somebody the time of day.